Hello, and welcome back to Let's Design Shards, a Minecraft MOBA adventure map. Curving round the mountains, we come up on the southern base, getting a good look at our progress so far. Last time, we finished work on the outer fortifications, placing down the battlements, towers, and pathways necessary to defend the inner structure. Soaring over the walls, the location of our next project can be spotted below, where the curving inner wall meets the mountainside. It's time to begin on the King's Keep. Starting at the inner wall's edge, I align myself with the central connecting tower and place cylinders of stone brick to mark the layers of the keep. Hollowing the mountainside in and over this structure, I then began to fill in the base with more stone brick. The base floor wasn't at quite the right height, so I located the center and began modifying the floor level. It took some fiddling to find the right height for each level, but eventually I lined up the outer layer with the curved wall's interior pathway and lowered the two inner layers to the desired depth. Connecting the outer layer to the inner wall and laying down wood planks, I proceeded to light the area with torches. Realizing I had removed too much of the mountain, I cut out the keep's base and reverted the mountainside, pasting the base underneath. As the outermost layer will not reach all the way to the top, I wanted to keep the terrain above to make it look as if the keep is anchored into the mountain itself. From here, I moved on to form a downward staircase through the middle layer, connecting up with the center, and filled the area again with wood slabs. Realizing this design had cut me off from a pathway I had planned, I moved the staircase to the other side, forming an underpass towards the central tower. Taking redstone blocks, I traced the pathway I wish the AI to follow as NPCs make their way through this area. From here, I began my design of the keep's lowest point, the prison block. Using the redstone as a frame, I laid down stone slabs and stone brick in the form of cells, placing two cell segments on each side. Raising the walls and placing iron doors as entry points, I laid down iron bars throughout the cell block as small windows for the captives. For an added touch, I also threw down some cauldrons filled with water in each cell before raising the cell walls once again. After throwing down some ladders on either side, I formed the first cell's roof from stone brick. Placing levers to the cell block doors, I went through the blocks and spent some time on their interior, laying down beds and torches. Selecting the cell block with World Edit and using the copy command, I created a second level of cells. Doing the same on the other side, I raised the cells and cleaned up the area, removing excess redstone and flooring from behind the cell blocks. From here, I cleared out the central pathway of redstone, then changed the upper walkways to wood planks, filling in the center and forming the walkway, and then using fences to create a position overlooking each lower pathway. After clearing out the remaining redstone and adding some fences as supports for the walkway, I pasted yet another cell layer atop the structure for each side, again clearing away excess flooring and creating an accessible wood slab walkway between. Finally, I raised the walls high and prepared to cap off this first level. From here, I took stone slabs to the first cell's top, then proceeded to layer stone brick around the inner walls and cells. Moving back to the remaining cell blocks, I sealed them too with stone slabs before locating the structure's center point and laying down the stone brick cap atop this prison block. With the cell block complete, it was time to work on the upper level of the keep's battlement connection. After raising the inner wall to its correct height, I started to form this upper segment's floor plan. Realizing I had started a block too high, I moved further down and placed a stone brick cap. I didn't want the entire area filled, as I intended to keep connecting staircases in the central space, so I cleared a smaller circle within, then again capped the central cells with stone. After locating the center and raising up the internal wall, I laid down the wood planks by again filling the area with water and using the replace commands. Moving up from the cell block floor, I began raising a new staircase to the upper level. Players and NPCs will travel between the upper and lower walls by passing the cell blocks. This may certainly cause some interesting clashes when enemy forces break through the defenses and interact with other lanes. Upon reaching the top of the wall, I centralized myself and further prepared the new layer. Quickly checking on the size and the design of the previous wall connection and internal space, I cleared away a segment of the mountain and raised walls to match the rest of my design. Forming an opening to the outer wall, I again capped the area with stone brick. It took me a couple tries to get what I was after, but before long I had the cover I needed as I hollowed out the center once more. Misaligning myself at first, I attempted to raise the inner wall to match. Realizing my mistake, I quickly readjusted and sealed off this internal wall properly. This gave me not only the space I needed within to begin the next level, but it also provided the space for the open air wall, which will surround the tower and provide a view over the lower base. This outer wall wasn't quite the size I needed, as I wanted not only a wide walkway, but enough room for a double-layered center, so I expanded the area and cleaned up the walkway, filling in any gaps in the design. Back to the center, I started on a guard post, which will serve as the first barrier for any invaders. Units entering the tower from below must travel around this central barrier to the exit on the other side. Defenders will come down from the barracks higher in the tower to man these defenses, and will take position in the protected central area. After raising the walls, I began forming openings through which the defenders can strike. With the positioning of the walls behind, units may easily attack through the slats, yet take cover and return fire when needed. With the defenses here formed, I increased the wall height once more and began to light the area with torches. Locating the central point, I worked on sealing off this level. It took me a couple sets to get the right size for the cap, but before long, this first guard post was complete. Moving on from this segment, I began raising a staircase of wood and planks up to the next level, which will consist of open-air ramparts. Filling this new level with water, I selected the area and again set the water to wood planks, connecting the stairway to the walkway. Finding the center, I raised the rampart wall and heightened the walkway around this outer section. After clearing more of the mountains, I quickly crenellated the outer wall and began constructing the inner path which connects with the mountain. Sealing up this internal pathway, I lit the turreted level with torches before moving on to the next section. Back to the center, I began what would become a second guard post. Connecting to the outer wall, this post will serve as the final defense before entering the barracks and the upper levels, and will prevent players from infiltrating too far into the tower by simply scaling the mountain. Forming a circular pattern around the center, I laid down framework for these defenses. On either side of the entrance, I built a raised platform. A ranged defender will be placed in each protected alcove to rain fire down on intruders. From here, I built the side pathway where more ranged defenders will be stacked, and began to copy my design to the other side. With the positioning of these defenses, any intruders entering the center gauntlet will take fire from all sides. Melee defenders will also be positioned behind these walls, protecting the ranged forces and blocking any players who successfully dodge past incoming fire. Raising a staircase to either side, I prepared the structure for the upper level of this guard station. After beginning to fill the upper layer with stone brick, I noted the darkness forming below and quickly lit the lower segment with torches, before continuing to fill the next floor. I started to layer in wood slabs and decided it would be quicker to simply fill the whole area and carve away the appropriate segments. After hollowing out the stairways, I moved to the center and began to carve away an opening. I wanted ranged units to be stationed here as well, firing down on their enemies below, but had a hard time deciding at first on how I wanted this to look. I eventually settled on what you see here, a large opening in the center, with fence posts staggered around for cover and decoration, and wood stairs surrounding for the added height advantage. As this segment is a more permanent guard post, Where the defenders are preset and not spawned from the barracks, I wanted to give it that more permanent feel. To that end, I placed down a number of aesthetic pieces to give this area a more lived-in look, as a place where local guards take their breaks and relax while guarding their post. Back outside the tower, I raised the outer walls higher still and began constructing the staircase to the next level. Here, we will place the keep's barracks, so after filling the layer with wood slabs, I went back and quickly lit the stairways below. These barracks will be formed in 3 parts. So, on the first level, I began my design with a staircase. Raising the walls around this point, I formed what would be the eventual pathway through the area, where forces will circle around the room and to the stairway. Similar to the lane barracks previously constructed, I laid down a design of bunk beds framed by ladders and fence posts, placing chests as before to improve the general look and design. I placed a small center point group of barrels and crates accidentally off-center, but quickly realigned this grouping after noticing the flaw. From here, I laid down some seating and tables, then raised the walls higher to where we begin the next barracks layer, and after fixing the beds, I brought up the ladders and fence posts to match. Capping the first layer, I dug out the staircase and began on layer 2. Raising the walls, I filled the staircase with glass to block water flow as I changed the area to wood planks. From here, I raised the sides in preparation for the wall decor, then examined my previous design to form the staircase for the 3rd level. With the stairs in place, I again located the center and began to raise the walls once more. As with the lower level, I stacked beds up against these walls and added their ladder and fence framing. Placing some assorted barrels for aesthetics, I began stacking weapon racks against the walls. Raising the walls and starting to form the upper level, I quickly filled the racks with weaponry before sealing off the top. Again, hollowing the stairway and sealing it to prevent water flow, I filled the next level with planks and raised the walls for the final barracks section. I once more raised the wooden sides and again placed the bed-ladder-fence combination, and placed more weapon racks along the back wall. At the barracks exit to the final upper section, I placed one final guard station. Moving into the barracks, we'll get a good look at the finished design. Heading towards the corner, you can see I've lit the area with torches, stacked around darker wooden blocks. Along the far wall, I've stacked racks of assorted weaponry, and placed more racks in front of these to prevent players from stealing weapons as they pass by. NPCs will spawn in these 3 barrack layers, and from here move down through the tower, manning and moving through defense points along their given lane as new units are spawned to replace them. Next time we'll work on the remaining layers of the keep and finalize the base. If you've enjoyed this and you want to see more, leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.